different, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Here's the YouTube live stream link that's accurate right now.
Sovryn Dojo and welcome. My name is Luca, and if you don't know me, I'm the one posting gifs all the time and asking you to retweet my stuff and things like that. Anyway, I'll be your host for yet another Dojo AMA. First of all, I would like to thank everybody that joined today and the people that were intrigued enough to send me questions. I will go through some of your questions, and later on, I'll be handing our special guest over to you guys, and you can go crazy with whatever questions you might have. Remember, if you want to ask something and you have, I don't know, some connection problems, aren't comfortable with your English, which is totally understandable, or you just want me to ask some extra questions that come to mind, just send me a DM. I'll put my handle in the dojo and pin it so you won't get confused. So now, without further ado, today my guest is Michael Parenti, formerly known as Exiled Surfer. He's the co-founder of the NFT marketplace called droppr. So say hi, Exiled. Michael. Sorry.
Hey, Luca. Good to chat with you, man.
First of all, Why are you now using your real name instead of your nickname that the public knows you by?
Well, that's kind of so that has personal reasons and also sort of like public statement reasons. Um, I've been around, as many people know, I've been around Bitcoin since the white paper was released and was on the mailing lists where these types of themes were being discussed. An old school, you know, guy, and we've I think we've all or we've all been so paranoid for so long about our public identities, and like that goes pretty deep
Hmm.
in the infosec and hacker spaces and everything, and there's all of the tax compliance reasons for that people don't want to be public about being associated with Bitcoin or crypto, and all of these different things. And I just feel that it's time that I think it's pretty clear that the tide has changed. The winds have shifted. We have jurisdictions all over the world, from white paper to nation state adoption, as Yago likes to say, in a short period of time. I think it's time that we all come out in public and stand for what it is that we're doing. I don't see the threat as being so high anymore. Um, and also has to do with the pandemic. I mean, we're also isolated. We're also fearful of each other for so many different reasons. And I know I'm just tired of being behind an avatar, so to speak.
Yeah, this
Um,
makes sense.
right? I'm just tired of it. I'm gonna be 59 in April, and I'm just like going. So what am I going to spend? I'm going to spend the rest of my life, hiding behind, uh, a, a nickname that I started 20 years ago, and it's also personally. So I mean, my story is wrapped up in Bitcoin about why I'm in exile and having no passport, and those are things that look like they're going to be changing this year for me. That I'll be coming, having a passport again this year and being able to travel. And I just don't want to identify myself anymore with the mentality or anything associated with being an exile. So I'm just laying it's time to lay the identity to rest, so to speak. And so I thought that now with droppr, after the experience with Sovryn, that this is a good chance for me to just come out and say, hey, I'm Michael Perenni and this is what I'm doing, and to be public about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Come
It's
out
a
of the
trust issue.
closet,
It's a
so to
trust issue
speak.
as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was a pretty cool nickname, though. If you think about the story and everything, you
Well,
thought of it.
sure. It's served me well across many incarnations of things that I've been doing, pre-crypto. So before that, it was my identity as a VJ, doing visuals and art and stuff. And then as my meme remixer, days during Occupy Wall Street and WikiLeaks and Anonymous and all of those times. And, it all just sort of like progressed into crypto, and it all seemed to like fit and work together. But
Mm.
I just tired of being limited by that anymore. I'm Michael, right?
Cool.
So yeah, that's
Cool.
it.
So, guys, if you want to talk to Exiled, formerly known as Exiled Surfer, search for Michael Parenti. Maybe, maybe he responds.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
changed it. I've literally changed it across all social media channels and Discord, and a number of people said, hey, they contact me on one channel. Hey, I can't find you on this anymore. Like what happened to you? I'm like, oh, I just changed my name. That's it. That's all. Still me, but you can find me. That's also the thing. You know, uh, the fact of the matter is that the surveillance capitalism state and KYC and everything, uh, the government knows who everybody is, and they know who everything that is we're doing. I don't believe anymore that there is any defendable privacy. To be honest, yeah, I just don't
Mm.
see it existing technically. You can be unmasked so easily if the state decides to focus resources on you, and that's the reality. They can go down and grab kim.com and prosecute kim.com. They can go get Ross Ulbricht. They can get Julian Assange. They can get any one of us that they literally want to. Every single wallet owner that's ever, tweeted about being involved with crypto. It's pretty easy for your to be unmasked. So it's just sort of like looking that in the eye. I don't think that people care about privacy and decentralization and these things. I think that's a really nerdy, insular like point of view that we've had for many, many years. And the market shows that the users literally don't care about these things. So it's
Mm.
sort of looking it in the eye as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I haven't really
It's being a
ever
little bit more
had.
honest about the situation than anything by
Yeah, yeah,
using.
I know what you mean. I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I haven't really ever had a nickname, so I just went with my name and the flag. So if anybody wants to show up, hey, no problem. Bring a beer, that's it. Okay, so secondly, I really like the name droppr and the logo that you guys put together. What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, let's see. So the term drop is pretty common in the NFT. When an artist puts out a collection, they call it dropping a collection. And so drops came out of, lifestyle brand things, like sportwear, giving, you get a drop of a pair of sneakers and a sweatshirt and sticker pack and whatever. So in the upscale, lifestyle brand area, dropping a collection of goods is where the name comes from, sort of like in the branch specific. So that was the inspiration. The logo, well, I mean, a water drop in the shape of a D. I just sort of like just did it and gave it to our great graphic designer, Marco, and said, hey, here's an idea, play around with it, give me something new. And after he did the first brand design stuff, he came back and he said, yeah, so listen, I did everything on the brand design except for the logo. The logo is just like spot on. I
Mm.
was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So it's just a D, a drop in the shape of a D, just very, very simple. And in terms of the spelling, it goes back to my generational head nod about being a Flickr user. That was the first place where we were uploading our photos, and it was so like post right around the time of MySpace, and so Flickr was the place where that you could host your photos. Twitter was also spelled Twitter originally, and then Flickr is just .r. So it's sort of a head nod to that generation of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. I didn't know about Twitter though, but I
yeah.
really like the logo. I like the shape. I like the colors even. So good job, man. But why an NFT marketplace? Why now?
Okay, well, so I mean, when I joined Sovryn back in January of 2021, I joined Sovryn as a contributor a week after I joined a startup called Materium, and Materium is been around for about 4 or 5 years and is started by a guy named Vinay Gupta, who was the launch manager for Ethereum. And he had been working on research for many, many years on how to do real world asset NFTs, and got some early stage funding in late 2020. And so I was working for or contributing to both projects from the beginning of this year, and looking to integrate the vision that Ethereum has for real world asset NFTs on RSK. And one of the earliest conversations that I put together was between Yago and Vinay, and they were pretty sorted on, hey, this is something that we want to do, anchored on Bitcoin. So it's been on my roadmap for quite some time, personal roadmap, and then started talking with Sue, the creative director, creative lead at Sovryn, about how it is that we could implement NFTs, for community activations and marketing. And I know maybe some people don't know on this call, I was, the community lead at Sovryn for the early part of the year, and so always wanted to be doing it and never got around to it because there was always other stuff that was more important happening at Sovereign. And then so after I handed over the marketing and community team back in October of last year, that freed me up to then focus on actually putting this platform together. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, yeah, I can
um,
understand that.
and primarily, I mean, the vision is to be having the wording really needs to be sorted out. Whether you call it a Bitcoin native NFT marketplace or anchored on Bitcoin, these are sort of wordings that we're playing with. As a Sovereign community member, you're perfectly aware of how touchy people are about what it means to say something is happening on Bitcoin. But the idea is essentially to have um, um, non-fungible tokens represented in a means as close to Bitcoin as can be done. We have rare pepes, that are Bitcoin NFTs that predate Ethereum NFTs, and then you have Namecoin, which is really probably the first idea or the first implementation of NFTs on Bitcoin. So all you're talking about here really is, a provenance and metadata, um, you know, uh, data field entry is essentially what an NFT is. And most people focus around it being, this profile pictures and arts right now, but
Mm,
NFTs have a much larger role to play in the future of the world economy and, property rights and
of
everything.
course.
And so I'd like to see that happening as close to Bitcoin as possible.
Cool, cool. So, what are the strengths or what differentials does droppr offer from the current NFT players?
Well, so my co-founder, Penguin, is on the call. Penguin and I have worked together with Materium to implement the physical gold bars. So you can get physical delivery of gold bars represented by an NFT. Never touch fiat again. NTFA.io. It's a project that we did
Hmm.
with Materium already. I'd like Penguin's on the call, and I'd like to give him a chance to talk about what differentiates our vision for droppr in comparison to other protocols or projects.
Of course, he's unmuted, so you can jump in wherever you want, man.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, fine, just go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so yeah, thanks a lot, Michael. And yeah, one of the things that really kind of got us started was the idea of creating an NFT marketplace that people could own. So we actually were like a little bit ahead of the looks rare kind of phenomenon and that stuff. We started back in October to kind of get ahead of this and build the project. And one of our ideas was like BNFT. So like, so not only was it like Bitcoin, um, kind of pegged with RSK and kind of building on platforms that would be based on that, but we also wanted people to really kind of own part of the platform and the process and have a little bit more control over what was on the platform. So yeah, we worked with Rarible and we implemented the Rarible SDK, and we realized that there were still some things that were missing, like being able to control different uh, contributors at the minting level, so that sales could go to multiple addresses from the first sale, as well as royalties on like a per piece basis. um, Also, the contracts were kind of hard to access, and the order books, such as like buying, bidding, and selling, were not on chain. So, it leads to exploits like what happened with OpenSeas being able to purchase previous listings because the code is no longer law. So we wanted to bring the platform to be more and we're playing with kind of Web3 and decentralized ethics, and also um, we wanted to develop a lot of features that the larger platforms weren't willing to kind of do, such as filtering for real world assets and doing kind of curated drops and setting your profile picture to NFTs that you own and a lot of other things that were on our roadmap and as collectors and people that um, have an opinion about how software is made and user experience is done. We wanted to really tighten that up for collectors as well as people that are dropping NFTs.
Cool, cool, really cool. Can you maybe pick one absolute thing that the dropper could bring to the NFT niche, like in terms of innovation? Just one thing, or the biggest thing, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is being able to potentially bridge NFTs between different chains easily by being chain agnostic first.
Oh, perfect. That's gonna be really good. Actually, you answered three questions that I got from your speech right now.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think we should. I think we should actually. This is a good time to sort of like unpack our journey to how it is that we got to the point. You know, we didn't intentionally begin and look at this and say, okay, droppers should be a chain agnostic platform or cross chain. It was primarily okay. Let's implement and EVM smart contracts on RSK the same way the Sovryn did the AMM. Okay, let's do the NFTs. Right. And there were mutual conversations that I was having with different potential partners last year, and nobody seemed to be able to bring it together. It's like, okay, it's an EVM chain. All you have to do is deploy your contracts, and everything should work. And so we started out under that assumption as well, that it's just an EVM chain, and all we have to do is deploy our contracts. And then we got into the issue of what actual tooling was available on the RSK chain that was normally available in Ethereum or in Solana or Avalanche or even Tezos or Cardano. There's a lack of tooling for implementing smart contracts on RSK, and there's also sort of a lack of data service APIs, so things that are common on other EVM chains to be using, like the Graph protocol, which Dune Analytics and these types of things. Just no support on RSK, and so we're in collaborative. We're getting a lot of support from IOV Labs, which is the company that's behind RSK as a chain, and they're aware of the limitations, and we were looking for solutions. And so the our front end developer was going through ways of displaying the data in the front end that we need, and came upon Morales, and Morales just literally just worked out of the box across all of the chains. And there was this Avalanche hackathon coming up, and so we just decided, okay, well, let's submit the next iteration. So we had gone through developing the white label front end for Rarible, and saw the limitations there, and started working on more extensive smart contracts ourselves. And we said, okay, well, let's just deploy the next iteration on Avalanche for the hackathon, because everything works. And so that's how it is that we came to Avalanche. But there's another deeper connection actually between Avalanche and droppr and Materium, and that's that Materium has been in longer conversations with implementations for Materium's asset passport on Avalanche. And so there's a natural synchronization there with them as a partner, and a large push then for support on Avalanche for it to be working there. And so that's when we realized, okay, we deployed everything for the hackathon, and it just worked. And we realized we can just turn it on Avalanche. Everything works. The platform is ready. we literally just have to switch it only from testnet to mainnet, and it's a live platform. And so we started thinking, okay, how should we approach this? And so that's when we just sort of like made the pivot and said, okay, we want to be an NFT, a platform for NFT on Bitcoin or anchored on Bitcoin or however it is, like I said, that you want to word it. We can sell NFTs for wrapped BTC on Avalanche, right? And if you compare the amount of use on RSK and on Avalanche, it's like major factors of volume higher. And so at some point you just say, okay, well, why shouldn't we do it and let the market decide, right? What it is that they want. Where do people want to mint their NFTs, right? Where do they want to participate in a marketplace? And this is happening simultaneously at a time where Sovryn's price has been falling and interest in the platform has been declining. The usage figures going down from 1,000, 800 users a day down to 235, or I mean, so there's been a lot of factors where it looks like and say, okay, RSK is not maturing, and Sovryn's product market fit is not maturing as fast as as people would like to see. That doesn't mean that we don't believe in RSK as a chain or Sovryn as a platform, but it seems like the growth for Sovryn is going to be longer. And so then along comes the originally it was planned to be launching droppr as one of the first Origins projects, and I briefly worked together with the Origins team, and there's this whole issue now with the bonding curve and the withdrawal from that, and whether Origins is going to have its own token, and so many different, and then just so many different factors have come together while it is that we're working under development. It just seems that to continue to move the project forward and have the concept of a multi-chain where you can wrap and change NFTs on any chain that it is that you want, that we can do a successive deploy, on each one of the chains when the technology is there and when the momentum is there, right? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. But the big question here is, are you guys gonna have a token, or are you gonna do it with NFTs alone?
Yeah, so from the beginning, it was intended that Sovryn would launch with a project called Sovryn Degens, and Sovryn Degens was supposed to launch on Ethereum last year, and I caught up with the developers who developed this project. But it's a so an ongoing NFT identity and game world, and we got them to agree to come and launch for that to be the avatar for droppr. And the intention was originally that if you were a Sovryn SOV staker, that you would be eligible to get a PFP that would be your your right to participate in the pre-sale. That was the original idea. And now we've come to the point where actually we're going to just use NFTs as the governance token and revenue sharing token. So we're going to issue NFTs with the Sovryn Degen theme in guilds on each chain. So that we figured, okay, this is also how it is that we can gauge people's interest in the platform. Say we fund each chain's development individually with a set of NFTs, right? And then there's whichever chain it is that it starts on, then the people who participate on that chain will have advantages to follow the adventure or get have advantages on the platform on the next chain, right? So that means that there will be separate funding with NFTs for development on Avalanche, and separate funding and governance for the NFT for droppr on RSK or Polygon or Ethereum, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whichever other chains it is then sequentially deployed to. Yeah.
Okay, but are there any benefits that droppr could bring to, I don't know, let's say sovereign stakers or the sovereign protocol as is?
So the first pre-sale will be only available to sovereign stakers. So the first pre-sale of 20% of the tokens will be available only to sovereign stakers. So that's the first one, and the token is simultaneously then revenue sharing NFT. And so another reason that we chose to go with the NFTs is that it's incredibly complex to be doing all of these vesting contracts, right? And so as a sovereign user, you're pretty well familiar with, like, people's vesting contracts are constantly unlocking, and people are trying to track, what the liquidity is of the token, and nobody knows what the unlock dates are, and they're different for everybody. And so we just looked at it and thought, okay, the markets move really, really quick. People aren't ready to wait, 1, 2, 3 years to, see their liquidity increase. People are chasing after, shitcoin, gains and everything. So why not just make the NFTs liquid from the beginning, right? So, and use the governance in different ways that actually people want to see it used. So that's another reason for using the NFTs instead of doing a tokenomic release. Um, so it became clear also sometime back in December. I heard that the Sovryn core team was going to be pivoting to core things that they wanted to pay attention to, and they didn't want to do any NFT integration and whatever. So that they're shifting away from that. So that was also taken into account. So the way that I look at it is that actually I would like to see droppr integrated at the protocol level on the Sovryn DApp, but that's obviously something that would need a SIP because the core team has chosen to not focus on that. So that would be something that the community would have to get behind. And I could imagine that the community would say, okay, we want to invest in droppr, and then that the sovereign treasury would hold a certain percentage of droppr tokens. That would then, the revenue would be shared amongst the stakers. So I can see all of that stuff happening, but that needs to be something that comes from the community, because it's
Yeah,
not coming.
sure.
It's not coming from the Sovryn core team. They've made it. So I think it was in the community call a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, where it was presented that, the Origins is probably not going to have a token, and that they're not going to be focusing on secondary projects like NFTs and whatever. So,
Cool.
that's something.
But
Yeah.
how do you plan to do it? Are people gonna have to be staked like right now to be eligible, or could they buy SOV later and stake it to qualify or something like that?
Well, I mean, I guess we'll just have to be deciding, what the snapshot date is, right? So,
Yeah, of course, of course, of course.
yeah.
I just wanted to
So
give a heads up.
that's initial. That's initial. That's initial, and this is just for the pre-sale. So there's a loyalty to the community that I have personally, and believe in, building on the momentum and the people that are invested in SOV and RSK on the network. And so we will provide preferential terms to SOV stakers in the pre-sale, and then we just move into a governance mode, and how it is that the rest of that can move forward would happen over governance, right?
Yeah.
So to speak.
So I got a
But
very
there's definite benefits that will be written in programmatically to droppr. And that is the fact that if you're an SOV staker or a droppr NFT holder, that the fees will be lower on the platform. So this is another advantage that droppr is going to be offering, is that the fees are going to be lower than other platforms. So generally speaking, OpenSea and other platforms are charging 2.5% service fee and between a 20 and 30% platform fee. on first sale, and droppers fees will be um, 1.5% service fee and 10% for the platform fee. And if you are a dropper NFT holder, an SOV staker on RSK, then the fee will be 1%, and the platform fee would be 8%. So we're looking at fees being, uh, um, 1.5% cheaper for stakers and holders of SOV or the platform. So as sovereign stakers will have the same benefits as NFT holders on Dropper.
Very nice. Now, I got a very interesting question. Like, it's interesting for me. I don't know if it's interesting for you guys, but Fauno asked something very nice. Could you guys create NFTs that complete themselves with the address that owns it? Like, whenever you sell it, the NFTs would evolve to something new, something different, because the algorithm completes itself with a new owner address, etc. He says that he's not all techie and stuff, but he does paint. And he feels that the idea is kind of similar to when someone looks at your artworks and feels something unique, you know what I mean? Relating to the person and the artwork in a very intimate way, which is unknown for the creator of the artwork. So the new bond changes the artwork because the experience is unique. Also, the idea is of the NFT revealing new layers with each buy makes even as interesting for buyers as for sellers who will keep track of it just to see how it evolves, you know?
The short answer is that is exactly what the Sovryn Degens governance PFP is.
Oh, very cool. I thought you were gonna. Okay.
It's literally so the idea with the profile picture is that it mutates and morphs over time, and that those things, that the visual appearance of it actually changes over time. It's an adventure, so there will be future things that happen to these NFTs that is being designed by a 5-person team that have been putting a lot of work into it. The first season of the Sovryn Degens PFP on RSK, will begin. When we do the funding round, and it starts out that awakening from a cryogenic bath, the Sovryn's Degens skin is revealed, and might look different prior to embarking on the life decision. And there's going to be changes that happen to the NFTs as they move forward, and they'll be different actually on each chain as well. So the RSK PFP will be the Sovryn Degens. We've yet to name the Avalanche PFP, what that's going to be, but they will essentially be chain guilds, right? And they'll be built into the story, and will give you rights in other realms on other chains, and will look different on other chains, or give you rights to do things on other chains. So that is, yes, part of the idea of the PFP as well.
Nice, nice. You are going to be storing them on chain, right? The NFTs. Or off
So
chain.
Penguin,
You might. We can't hear you.
Penguin. Hello.
You might want to drop and rejoin. Maybe you have some connection problems. Mm. Yeah, I still can't hear you, man.
No, we can't hear you, Penguin. I see your voice pulsing, but we can't hear you. Did you switch programs while it is that you were listening, possible microphones, machines. In any case, so um, the what an NFT is a JSON file which lives on IPFS. Okay, so
Okay.
NFTs are all your data is stored on IPFS, and you're pointing at that data with your minting information with your JSON file. So that's where where the data of the NFTs actually live is on IPFS using their storage solution called NFT storage. So there's also been a lot of advances in terms of platform services, and so that's where the data will be living is on IPFS.
Cool. Uh, why do you think NFTs nowadays are mostly like selling JPEGs, like not evolving to mortgages, clinical records, proof of real estate ownerships, and stuff like that? Why do you think it's still JPEGs? Is it just too early for that, or you think that it's some other reason? People just want to make money and that's it.
Um, it just happens to be the current iteration of what people are fascinated by and see the money. And like I said, we've been thinking about this for 4.5 or 5 years at Materium. It's just not where the buzz is at the moment. The buzz is where the buzz is when Beeple sells a 31 million or 64 million dollar NFT. The world goes fucking nuts. Yeah, and so everybody wants a
Yeah.
piece of it. And art just happens to be the way it is that people are looking at NFTs at the moment. I think people are incredibly impatient with about just literally about everything. It takes time to develop and to develop and implement code. It takes time to develop and implement ideas, product market fit, everything, these sort of things. So it just happens to be that a year ago this time, NFTs weren't as big as they are right now. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Last year,
Yeah,
everybody was
yeah.
talking about DeFi. Yes, I think that all this
think
stuff is coming. I think that
I think it's also has to do with the fact that it's kind of low hanging fruit. It's easy to upload a picture. It's a lot harder to do something new. So like 0 to 1 of making art NFTs and selling them has kind of already existed and is live, but doing new things like doing gold NFTs and property is a lot harder to educate people and to get people to trust it and invest their money in it. So definitely a
Yeah,
challenge.
of course. I can totally understand that. Well, I'm gonna give Nimesh the chance to speak because his hand has been raised for more than half an hour. So Nimesh, go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
The question is that you said that for stakers there are 20% of the supply is reserved, right? So it is in RSK chain 20% or overall on all chains 20%?
So we're sorting through that right now. Right? We'll sort through that. It means that so there's going to be a lot less tokens available for purchase than there will be addresses which are validated to purchase them. So since there's not going to be 21 million tokens, right? It's droppr is not going to be presented in a way that everybody can have a piece of it. There's going to be a certain amount that you need to be able to invest to get one NFT. So we're sorting through whether or not that the access would be granted across all chains to SLV stakers. But it's definitely wherever the first sale happens, whether it's on Avalanche or on RSK, The first sale will be exclusive for SOE stakers, meaning eligibility to participate in the pre-sale.
And do you have any good partnerships? Because NFT is all based upon partnership and hype. If there is no hype, the platform is nothing but dead.
Mhm. And what type of partnerships are you speaking of? So,
Any good partnership which builds up hype.
okay, so which partnerships build up hype are important in your worldview?
I really don't know. Most probably celebrity kind of thing, but I think that celebrity kind of thing is also all. It's starting fading off right now. People don't trust because there's a lot of scams happening.
So Dropper's partnerships are going to be with technology partners. Dropper is not going to be making partnerships with celebrities. Dropper is a platform that anybody can mint on, and anybody can offer over their own profile. They can offer their NFTs and promote their NFTs, just like that happens on OpenSea. But what Dropper will be doing is curated drops, and that means that so the NFTs are going to be governance tokens for voting on which content is then promoted by as a curated drop by Dropper. So that was an initial idea that we had for the platform. So it's the same as Super Rare or Foundation, is that there's an application process and then people vote on which tokens, which NFTs they want to see promoted by the platform. So that's different than being in partnership. So I can imagine that there will be people who go into partnerships with celebrities or go into partnerships with artists, and they will present that then to our group of curators, which includes token holders and then also curators themselves. So a percentage of the NFTs will be given to our curators, and the curators will use those NFTs to vote on which content they want to see dropped on the platform. And they're also naturally sharing in the revenue of the decisions that they make for what it is that they want to see curated on the platform. So that's the community owned and governed aspect of Dropper, is that the people who participate in the platform will be determining what's being offered on the platform, promoted, if that makes any sense to you.
Also, to directly answer some of the things that I heard in there about going for hype, like we're definitely building towards trust and adoption and long-term growth rather than kind of speculation, and especially kind of like shallow celebrity adoption is really just kind of like the pump and dump fast response kind of marketing. So we're definitely building for adoption over anything like fast.
So Penguin's been in the NFT space for probably longer than most people actually doing NFTs physically, like minting NFTs on other chains and doing multiple NFT projects, and also NFT access for Discord groups, and so I mean our developer team comes out of the space of people that are that are looking to have a longer term vision than hyping the platform at the beginning. We're looking for organic growth, and people are coming because it's feature rich and because it's trusted and offers things that other platforms don't offer. Yeah.
But one more thing I want to add. Isn't it complicated to just fund every chain or use just one chain and just transfer or wrap it in other chain?
Well, we want the governance to be different on each chain, is the idea. Let the communities that are active on those chains determine the direction that each platform takes on those chains, right? In terms of fee structure, in terms of what content's going to be there. We want to let the market and the community decide rather than shackle them, with, each each chain has its own set of ethics and its own set of market makers and everything. And so that's also why it is that we want to separate the governance and the revenue sharing on each chain. You know? And then that will, at some point, we will be able to offer all of the NFTs across all of the chains, yeah, in an integrated manner. Penguin can speak a little bit to the tech of that, how it is that we're approaching that with Morales.
Yeah, I mean, the other reason why multi-chain is because, we really have to go where the technology is leading us, and what our partners are saying too. So Avalanche is a carbon neutral chain as well. So getting funding through this hackathon will be a great signal of market fit for that chain. And obviously we want to stay flexible and be able to deliver NFT marketplace that fits where the collectors want to be at, and where the also creators are. So Ethereum is the main place for NFTs. So it makes sense that we would naturally have a marketplace on Ethereum and Polygon. But our main and original idea was to make Bitcoin pegged NFTs, either through Stacks or RSK, to support um, the Bitcoin community. And obviously, being part of the Sovryn community, it made more sense for us to work on RSK. So, for us to support our original idea, as well as maintain growth going forward, it makes more sense that we support the chains that are using the platform rather than be opinionated.
I have one question from the dojo. Will there be different levels for buying NFTs? Like, if you have a really high amount of voting power, you can get 10. If you have a low amount, you can get 1. Or is it going to be fixed, or is it going to be free for all? I can just go there and buy 15 or 5 or whatever much I want. Or you guys still deciding on that?
So it will be in the pre-sale phase. It will be a whitelist of sovereign stakers, and there will be a cap on how many NFTs can be bought. But there won't be, if you have more SOV, then you can buy more. There's not enough. So if we're issuing 10,000 PFPs as a governance token, and we're offering 20% of those, we're talking about 2,000 NFTs that we're offering in a pre-sale round. Yeah, there's only going to be 2,000, right? And
Yeah.
so, more than likely, it looks like the pre-sale price will be approximately 2,500 USD for one NFT. So we'll probably cap it at 5, right? So a max pre-sale funding round will be 5.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, right. So so we want to have some sort of a wider distribution, yeah. But the minimum entry will be basically 2,500 USD, yeah, in the first pre-funding round, right? So the thing is that the NFTs are immediately liquid, and whoever holds the NFT will be able to, on a monthly basis, collect 1/10,000th of the revenue on the platform, right? So the next time that through governance vote that a public sale would offer, the minimum price would be what's accumulated to the NFT in terms of fee sharing on the platform, right? So 2,500 plus whatever it is that's garnered as fees. Yeah. Right?
Well,
Do you follow me?
I hope that answers the question, Matt. Mr. M, sorry.
Yeah.
Nano OT, you're next. Whatever you had in mind. You're unmuted, so you can ask whatever you want. No, okay. Anybody else?
Hello.
I don't think that we were through all of the AMA
Yeah.
questions that you had in the written document, right?
So
You just opened it up because Cheetah, just wanted to ask something for a half an hour. He was impatient, but we haven't gone through all of the questions that you've gotten, have we?
No, we
hello.
haven't. But Shabek and Shkab, I can't read that.
Hello.
You can go ahead.
All right. Look, thanks. I actually joined a bit late, and I don't know whether it's been said already. It looks like now looks rare is taking all the attention. I don't know whether Dropper has any the taking rewards from looks rare is going to be incorporated into Dropper system.
I'm sorry, I had a hard time understanding the question. Can you ask me a
Okay, so
specific question?
my question is looking at the NFT platforms, OpenSea being the biggest, with the launch of Looks Rare, it looks like they are taking quite a number of participants from OpenSea. And I wanted to know whether their system of fee sharing and revenue generation by users of the platform is something similar is going to be incorporated into the dropper system.
Okay, so again, that's another sort of like long monologue. Can you ask me just a question, one question, and then we move to the next question? So, one
Okay,
question,
so let me put it. Okay,
just
so the
one question.
question is, are dropper token stakers going to benefit in any form as in fee sharing from using the system?
Okay, so there is no staking on Dropper. There is NFT ownership. And as an NFT owner, you will have reduced fees to mint on the platform, and will have a vote in governance, and will have a percentage of the fees that are generated by the platform. You don't have to actively stake to get them. All that you have to do is own the NFT. So there is no lockup, there's no vesting, there's no staking. The NFTs are always liquid and can be sold at any time and transferred at any time, like a PFP. And they take with them their revenue share rights.
Oh, okay, understood. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Did you have another question? That was the first one. I understand that you had a lot of questions, I see. So I wanted to break them down one by one. Yeah.
Yes, so that's all for now.
Okay, great. Nana, OT. Gone again. So actually, Scott asked a number of questions I see here. So he says, from the perspective of a buyer, can you go more into how the order book and maturing integrations are going to provide extra security for me against fraud? How will those things integrate into my experience visually in order to give me more confidence in the legitimacy of the purchase I would like to make? This is a great question for you, Penguin, because you've been working closely together with the Materium team on this. It's on our immediate roadmap, right?
Yeah, so I mean that's a wonderful question, and basically the way that the buyer can gain more trust in the system is they'll be able to see from the contract level if they have bids open, the sales. Right now, Rarible or OpenSeas, even Looks Rare, all of their history and their back end is actually stored off chain. So they have a computer server that says where all the trades are and what is available for sale. And so by putting that on chain, you'll be able to verify instead of trust us that your bid went through, that there weren't fraudulent activity against your purchases to help protect against things like the previous offer bug that's been plaguing OpenSeas. But also for something like the Materium integration, we're going to do an improved section, so it'll be a lot easier to distinguish when something is a real world asset, or when we have a signed contract. So specifically, Materium does a legal framework for on-chain assets, and that will allow us to actually create and make a separate section for security assets to basically provide verification of when we have things that are reputable. And also our system is set up in such a way that will present specific collections and filter them differently. So if you are looking for real world assets, you can look in a specific section instead of having them mixed in with other collections. So those are some of the ways that will help prevent against fraud by verification of all the Materium assets, as well as integrating their platform, so that we have a legal framework that backs those assets, as well as the on-chain legitimacy for all purchases.
So, I mean, what Materium has been working on is how it is that NFT data is represented and stored in a way that is compliant with existing legal regimes. And these standards, have to do with giving warranties and going to arbitration court based on merit, the standards of how it is that trade actually works in the world. Maritime law goes back to I think it's the 1964 or the 1968 Vienna Convention on international trade. And that's essentially the intellectual property of Materium, is having worked out how it is that existing legal infrastructure interfaces with this new way of determining transference of rights and providing warranties and arbitration for them. And that's essentially what Materium is providing, is that those warranties and claims that are good in 160 that are valid in 160 jurisdictions across the world at the moment. So it's really a huge step forward. Right now, Materium is doing the provenance on a Warhol painting. It's done the provenance on a couple 100,000-year-old hand axe, and it's done a number of proofs of concept of how does this provenance trail and arbitration and warranties exist. And that whole API and framework, all of the documents that Materium uses to prove the provenance and the warranties around a physical item, is what will be available at the protocol level on droppr on any of the chains that it's working on. So to come back to this narrative about how does what it is that we're doing on Avalanche benefit RSK, is that everything that we implement on Avalanche is essentially working as a test net for RSK, and encourages Morales to support the chain. And I can't think of any way better to motivate technology partners to expand their chain acceptance and chain support than by showing them things that work that we want to have there. So I've got another question for you, Penguin, here out of the list. This one is from Satoshi Badger, I believe. Centralized NFT services like OpenSea track and store IP addresses. Will droppr implement KYC or any of these IP logging practices?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of privacy and security, things that we don't have much of these days, as I'm sure you are as well. So as far as tracking and cookies and things like that, KYC, we will definitely keep that to a minimum so that we can offer, decentralized, anonymous, trading of NFTs. But that's more for being able to trust code rather than um, do anything else. And I think one of the things that um, is apparent is that it's really hard to um, build up a way for let's see, to like reliably track people and do it in a secure way. And like I'm not sure what we would be collecting from people anyways. So it's important for me for people to have privacy. I know it might not be important for a lot of other people though.
So, I mean, one of the things that's been implemented on the MVP for the hackathon that we submitted to Avalanche that will also be available on RSK and other chains is profiles. And so we're building sort of like a social network aspect into the platform where you can follow and like other collectors or artists, and there's a place for you to put your Twitter or your Telegram or your Discord or your URL in your profile, ability for you to choose your NFT, to identify yourself with. And so we're leaving it open to the user how much data it is that they want to provide to the DApp. The thing is that it's all information that's pretty much trackable on chain already once it is that you do anything. So, but in terms of linking that to IP addresses or requiring any sort of like, data for setting up a droppr account or anything, that's not going to be there. It's anonymous and permissionless in that sense. If you connect with a wallet, you can choose whether it is that you want to provide data to the DApp, that you want to provide to the public, or not. That's left up to the user. No. And then so there's the next question, Penguin, that also comes from Satoshi Badger is, for collaborations and collections on other chains, will droppr rely on sovereign bridges or implement their own?
So I believe we will use the sovereign bridges. That's my current understanding. Obviously, it's a pretty technical solution to be bridging any asset. So we'd like to work based off of the existing proven bridges and harness the sovereign relationship there. So it definitely makes sense for us to not implement our own.
So, I mean, I can go a little bit step even further with that. I would like to see Sovryn's AMA, Sovryn's directed, implemented directly in the DApp, right? So that you can buy and sell in any of the tokens that are available on the AMM. But that's not going to be something that we have implemented at the get-go. But so initially it'll be, that you'd be able to buy and sell NFTs in SOV or RBTC is what it would start at. But the vision would be to just have the AMM integrated directly into the DApp, and everything is denominated in RBTC. And you can, buy it with whichever token it is that you want to buy it with. But in the end, it's going through the AMM, and people are getting, paid, and fees are being generated in RBTC over the sovereign AMM.
Yeah, the other thing is that it really kind of empowers the sovereign platform as well, because using it as part of our backend and integrating how it does token transactions will make sure that everything is just kind of seamless and works for the user rather than having to kind of have a lot of the technical hoops that we jump through now. So I definitely think that having the sovereign bridges is an implementation on our roadmap that will improve bridging and working with NFTs, but we'll take that as we get there. So one step at a time.
Cool. Let's
Very
see.
cool.
Looks like we're getting through almost all the questions, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we
Seems
have
like we
anything
nailed all
else.
of them. Yeah. But we can now open up for new questions.
I have unmuted everybody, so if you want to speak, just unmute yourselves and go ahead. Okay, if you don't want to talk, you can still send me the question and I'll ask it, no problem. Okay.
So I'll share a couple links in the dojo. So to our slide deck for the Avalanche hackathon submission, also to the Sovryn Degens page, so people can see the state of that for the PFP and things, and yeah, so that people can look a little bit more at what it is that we're doing. So what is the timeline on hackathon submission and judging on Avalanche, Penguin, and
Yeah, so submissions were due on the 31st of January. Right now, the Morales and Avalanche judges are deliberating for the next week still. So I think the 14th is when they will welcome people back to talk more about the project and go over kind of the awards. So we'll know in a week or so about how the hackathon has responded to the platform.
right, and then and we would be looking to do the initial pre-sale funding round shortly after we know what the hackathon results are for the token launch on Avalanche, and then how long it is that it takes for this to happen on RSK depends on how quickly there is Morales support, and currently we have a petition for the Morales DAO, which now has, let me see where the votes are at now, 90 votes. It's the #1 feature suggestion on the Morales roadmap. Also IOV Labs is working together with us to get Morales to speed up support and is willing to provide technical support for that happening. So it's really, that's the moment that we have Morales support on RSK, then we can implement droppr on RSK. So that's kind of, we're in a waiting position on when it can be implemented on RSK.
I just got one question. I don't think that he joined in the beginning, so please bear with me. Are you planning to have any VCs in droppr or not?
Well, we're not going to be going out and actively courting VCs, so to speak. VCs are welcome to invest in droppr, but the idea here is to provide to the community the terms and conditions of a pre-sale that VCs would normally get. Yeah. And then as we would then, as the initial group of people, then be voting on what the offering is in public sales or future token offerings, what the price would be and how many of them would be offered to them. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, VCs are welcome, but they're welcome just like everybody else is, right? No.
Great. Any more questions? I think that's it. Any final words, Michael and Penguin?
I'll let Penguin go first.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's been an amazing trip so far with the team. So we've got an amazing group of developers and also partners that we've been working with. So it's been a lot of fun making the project, and it's really high impact. So thanks for being part of it, and thanks for being part of the Sovryn community. So I'm really happy with all of the support that we've gotten from our partners, and thank you, Michael, for having me, and nice to meet all of you.
Thanks, Penguin.
Yeah, for me, so this Penguin and I sat down together and had the core idea for the name and the project. It was during the Chaos Hacker Congress in Prague. So that was October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And that's when we put together the rough framework to do this. And so we went from discussing this into doing the Rarible implementation before Christmas, and then Christmas holidays came, and now we have a completely functioning MVP and a number of partners. So that's in 3 months. This is where we're at. I'm very, very, also very happy about the pace of development and where it is that we're moving. And the moment that we have the rest of the pieces in place, then we'll implement this on RSK. So I'm looking forward to that. And same thing, we're sort of like floating through the decisions that we're making and trying to keep the community that birthed the project informed and on the doorstep of being involved with the project. So thank you, Luca, and everybody in the dojo and across the Sovryn community for your support and interest in what it is that we're doing.
Thank you guys for doing this AMA with me. I'm very excited about droppr, always have been. I will post some links in the dojo and pin them if you need any more information. I'm sure that Michael could answer any of your questions, so maybe DM him and ask him direct, or even better, join his Discord and do it there. So that's it
Thank
for
you
today.
so much, Luca.
No problem. No problem. That's it for today. Make sure to join our next AMA. I'll announce it next week. It's going to be kind of different, but you'll see. And to quote Tekativari, let the game come to you. Bye, guys.